I'm gonna start the
Spawn,
recording here.
spawn, okay. Well, they have a point. Well, sick.
Oh, so in this composition, take a look at it. We don't have any real brawly tanks. We're running hog and ball, so that means we cannot be aggressive really at all. So what we're gonna take a look at this comp, yeah.
Babysit.
Yeah, we're just gonna babysit, look for whiplashes in there. We can't really frontline at all, just because we're gonna get instant shredded if we try to.
Okay. Oh boy.
And right now we need to group up. Right. Okay, make sure we're looking for whip shots to keep our inspire going. Right, we need to keep that up and active, otherwise we're pretty much useless on break here. Right. At the moment, Brig's probably not looking like the pick, right? Because if you really Brig has like 3 parts of her kit, right? She has her inspire, damage, and packs, right? If you're not able to do damage, and then you're not really able to do anything, right? You need to be brawling. If you're not able to brawl, then you're not really gonna be doing anything on Brig.
He's dead.
Okay, right now we're kind of isolating ourselves. Alright, I'll wait here. Something happens here. Alright, there we kind of like isolate ourselves from our team, like if potentially anyone had gone main to touch. Like if we're trying to just touch point maybe, then instead of running all the way around to the left, we probably could have just jumped the gap.
Jump the bridge,
right? That way we don't have to just isolate ourselves from everyone. So just keep yourself main with your team, don't split off from them. But yeah, Brig in that composition just it wasn't going to work too well.
Yeah, it felt pretty useless.
Because you weren't really protecting against any dive, and then you weren't able to get on the front line to brawl at all because you don't have any front line.
Our team was just doing. Oh, God, this is a tough game. Okay. Well, Bat felt a whole lot better, so we'll see.
Yep.
They have Widow, high ground. Oh boy. Widow, man.
Alrighty. Make sure that, anytime somebody does need healing, that we're trying to put out some damage. There are sometimes that we're spending just healing a little too much when it's not really necessary. So just make sure paying attention to health bars and when people are in danger. Gotta look to put a priority on our immortality field, the biggest part of your kit, and it doesn't seem like we're getting a ton of value out of it. So just look for when people are in danger and about to die. Pay attention to danger levels of people, like how are people looking at them, how many people are looking at them, how many people are shooting at them, right? And then that can help us react a little bit faster when we're looking for it.
Okay. Now I have a prayer. is the a good window here.
Right, if you want to get really aggressive with that window and you think it's gonna be a little bit risky, you just plop lamp down, and that allows you to
Yeah.
be risky with the window, right? And you're not gonna get shot by a widow.
I know. I thought the brig would pack me. I don't know why, because she didn't, but I just thought she would. She was right there.
Yep, and if you want her to pack you, then make sure you request
Hit
healing.
X.
All right, yeah, that way she's looking at you and paying attention. Like here, right? Make sure you're requesting healing. Make sure you're paying attention to your health bar. You're sitting at like 40 HP.
Okay. Oh, I was trying to aim right there.
Yep. Make sure we're paying attention. Did we talk much about ult tracking last time?
Yeah.
Yeah. How's that been going so far?
I mean, somewhat better. It's
Somewhat
still
better.
something I'm working on. It's
So
just tough. Like,
yeah.
oh boy. Yeah, I guess I could have known she'd peek that.
Big thing there is just make sure we paying attention to ultimates, but then also just recognizing that we needed to throw that earlier. So far lambs are just coming out really slow, mainly because when we're relying basically just on reaction times, it's gonna be a lot harder to actually lamp stuff. We'll talk about it after this game's done, or after the round's done or whatever here.
Lord.
Unfortunate.
So,
Yeah.
for me, they're probably like feel like it's like not necessary window, but at 99%, it's hard for me to hold on to that. Like we had 2 picks there.
When you place it, you had
But we have,
one.
yeah, okay, that might be true. Yeah,
Yeah,
in
but
that case.
there's also other things to pay attention to, like are they on the run? When you feel like you might be at an advantage, it might be a good idea to
Oh,
just hold on to it for a second or two, right?
well, there's our rally brig. Drive. Okay, they gotta go ball to touch, maybe. Nope. They're on echo to touch. They're gonna go echo outside.
Right. When you place lamps, make sure you're placing them on corners. So far, it's looking like ultimate usage is pretty good. I think that biggest problems are going to come from awareness and our lamp usage so far, and then maybe we can talk more about ult tracking and whatnot, because that can very highly help with both awareness and lamp usage. In general, with your lamps, right? It's going to be very difficult to land lamps if we're just reacting all the time. Like, for
Okay.
example, if Genji just blades and we're going, oh snap, Genji's blading, and we throw a lamp, that means that we have a delay on when we're actually throwing lamp. But if we know ahead of time, hey, Genji's probably going to go for blade here, now that allows us to be prepared for it and allows us to be basically reacting much faster, and because we're already planning ahead for it to happen, right?
I
So
have a question about the Genji lamp on or blading lamping Genji blades, but I'll probably ask you after the round. So,
all right, yep.
yeah.
All right. Little too heal centric that fight. Just keep in
Okay,
mind,
yeah. I
watch
can
health bars. Right. When people aren't low and people aren't needing healing, then there's no reason to be healing because it's just waste of time and energy where we could be outputting damage and helping our team out. In theory, we probably could have put lamp or sorry window in a spot where our whole team could use it rather than just us. Whether that just was a little bit earlier, like when at the choke point before the team walked in, right, or just in front of your team. It was just a little bit far back, which meant that our whole team had to orientate themselves around us.
Nah. Okay, but the fight's over, so it's okay. I've been trying to be a little more loose with my lamps, like when I think a fight's probably over. Is that like the right mentality to have?
Loose with it, like as in throw it when you know the fight's over.
Like throw it more easily when I know the like hold it less easily, like kind of like loose with it, like use it like easy.
Um, I think I don't necessarily think so because like
So
okay, so
to
because
prevent like a late fight pick for them is what I'm
yeah.
thinking.
So by that point, we should probably have already used it. But yeah, you're right. Like if the fight's done, then we could probably look to use it. So that you are correct, but we should also want to make sure we're using it during the fight too, because that's where it's getting the most values during the fight.
Oh,
Okay. Want to make sure that when we're using it, that we're using it when they can't run away, right? They're not
yeah.
behind any cover to be able to get behind. So there, that was a little too early. They were too far away. They were able to get around the wall. So we want to use it when they can't run away.
I think I saved him with that. They have a shutter, by the way. Ryan's hit 2 pins this fight.
Make sure you watch your health. That's happening quite a bit. All right, request healing. All right. So what was your lamp question with Blade?
I just like sometimes I feel like it just like especially against Nanoblade, like that it doesn't really counter. Like I want to hold on to it until I know the Genji's dashing in on me, is what I feel like. That's like the mentality I feel like I'm having. So sometimes you're saying like I'm using it reactively. I almost like I'm doing that intentionally, and I'm wondering if that's the wrong mindset.
You're doing it before he dashes in it, or like
No,
or
I'm like
after he dashes in?
intentionally waiting till he's like literally coming in. Like no, because I don't want to. I'm trying to wait until I see the Genji dash in on a target to use the line.
By that point they're probably dead, right? And
Yeah.
we saw that twice. With our lamps was that happened twice. That game was that we Genji got away with a blade because we ended up using it too late. Um,
Hmm.
so is maybe your mentality because you're trying to get it basically confuse him and not let him know where your lamp is?
No, not necessarily. It's to rather than guessing which target he's going to blade. It's to lamp the target that he actually goes to blade.
All right. Yeah. Well, you don't want to pre-fire it before anyone that can dashes at anybody, right? But you want to pre-aim at people who he's most likely to go for. Is he more likely to go for your tanks on the front line or your
Yeah,
supports in the back line?
I
Um,
guess that's fair.
Probably your supports, right? So we should be pre-aiming where we know people are going to be, right? And on top of that, just the react, if we're saying it like that, the reaction is still a little bit slow in that he'll dash and then lamp comes out after like a couple seconds afterwards, right? It's just a little bit
Mhm.
too slow. We want to make sure that we're upping that reaction time and we're paying attention to who is he most likely going to dash at, right? So that we can throw down lamp faster. Because not do you, it's not that you just have to throw lamp at them, but also lamp has an activation time, so we really need to be careful of
Yeah.
that as well.
Right.
Um, now, when okay, so we have a few different things. So I guess just around the clock, right? What we're looking at right now, a bit of inconsistencies in different areas. Though some areas are better than others. Um, abilities, I think lamp is a probably one of the big ones here. Don't think shift has too much of a problem. But lamp definitely needs a lot of work on it. Ultimate wise, I think a lot of them are really good. I like the timing that you use them, but sometimes like it for example, the one at the very end, we just ended up using it when they're too far away, and then
Right.
and they just ran around the corner. And then the one before that, we ended up using it on ourselves when our team probably could have benefited from it. Um,
Mhm.
so we just want to make sure that the placement's looking a bit better. So um, when you have like two different kind of ways that you can use it. You could use it just on yourself, or you can use it for your team, right?
Right.
When you wanted to use it just for yourself, that's when your team's all split up and they're not going to get benefit out of using it. Or if they're like if you feel like you'd get immediate value out of getting picks or getting healing from it using it on yourself, right? And you want to use it that way. But if your entire team's pretty much right next to you or in front of you, try to orientate it so that your team's getting value out of it as well, right? So place it in front of them, not in front of ourselves, and then that way they can get some usage out of it. So overall, I think ultimates are pretty strong, but they were pretty inconsistent. And I think we talked about this last time, but a lot about getting better at the game is getting rid of inconsistencies and the small
Right.
things because that really adds up when you have a ton of tiny little problems. Um, Now moving on, positioning I think was pretty solid. I don't think that there were let's see, yeah, I don't think that there was too much of positioning. On first point, we went around left side when maybe we shouldn't have wrapped around left side, and then on break the characters that was just all over the place because that was a bad place to run her. But
Yeah.
so I don't think, but once we got on BAP, I don't think we had any bad positioning. Awareness. I think that's another area we're struggling with a little bit. There's a ton of times where we were low health and we didn't have our shift, and we're just kind of sitting there at low health for like multiple seconds, or like go up to like 6 seconds, where we're just sitting there without health because we're not paying attention to it. So we want to make sure that we're watching our health bar when we don't. Basically, we're not glancing at our health bar all the time, but we want to make sure we're checking it every time we see damage. Okay, every time that we see our health bar tick down, every time we see there's red marks around our screen, when we see it in our crosshair, right? When we hear our character go right? We have a lot of different indicators to show we've taken damage, and whenever we take damage, we glance at it and we check our health, and then therefore, when you're low, request healing because that's a habit that we want to get into. Because you're not going to have
Should
your
I
shits all the
just pretty
time.
much just spam it? I mean, like not spam it, but like should that just be a habit of mine? Just basically press X, help hit seven.
Yeah, whenever you lose
100.
health, like unless you know that you've just lost, like anytime you're critical, like even if you have your shift available, but like if you know that you don't have your shift up, right, to heal yourself, then you press I need healing, right, so that you can get your support on top of you, or if you're like under pressure because someone's on like a
Yeah.
you're getting dove, right, then you press I need healing, but you press it multiple times if the first time doesn't work, right? If they don't look at
Yeah.
you the first time, then you just press it again and again and again, right? It's okay to do that, right? There's a bad stigma around it. Pressing I need healing is very helpful. It's not gonna it shouldn't annoy them. Um, Now on top of the awareness end, I think we have a decent grasp of kill feed watching. Um, but I think just ultimates in general and reading. Um, when we should be using lamp and being aware of that was a big problem. So I guess onto the ultimates end. I think we talked about last time. I think right about how when you're ult tracking, you're also coming up with a plan to
Yeah. With
counter
plan,
it.
all planning.
Yep, ult
Yeah.
planning as well. Um, don't do all of that at once. It's
Okay.
going to be real confusing for you. There's basically three steps with this, right? You have ult tracking, then you have countering, then you have planning your team ults. Um, Instead of going for all three at once, look to start off with just the first one, right? That way you can practice it and get better with it. And then you can move on to the next ones once you've got it down as a habit, right? It's gonna be hard to start off, right? No one's saying it's not going to be, but essentially what you have to do is just I don't know if we talked about this last time, but just make sure that you're focusing on it while you're playing, right? And we're going ults, 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 and we're reminding ourselves over and over and over again while we're playing, so that where we as soon as the fight ends, we can start talking about it. You know, even if it's slow to start off, we need to just get used to doing it, because once we start getting into the habit of it, then it'll come much easier, right?
Mm,
We make it so that we just remind ourselves until it gets and becomes natural, and then now we don't need to remind ourselves all the time. Once you feel like you've gotten a little bit better with it, then you can move on to the other two. But you just want to go in order. There is just start off with the old tracking, then if you want to move on, you move to the ult countering, and then if you want to move on, you move to the ult planning. Right? Don't try to do all of them at once, because you're gonna get overwhelmed. Same thing with the rest of what we talked about. Right? If we're talking about 20 different things, don't go over all of that at once. Focus on a couple at a time.
okay.
That way you're not getting overwhelmed, and the enemy of progress is going to be autopiloting here and not focusing while you're playing.
Okay.
Now that is pretty much it. I think you can look to go ahead and get into another queue here. Um,
Oh wait, I can
yeah,
already bet.
nice. It's gonna say 1 minute, and then it's gonna end up taking 5 minutes anyways.
Yeah.
Just how it works.
I know people say that it doesn't matter, that you could make any hero work, but man, it was a huge difference swapping on Brig there. Brig would not have worked, and if I had to try to
Yep.
force Brig, I think we would have lost that game.
Like in general, essentially there are better characters for different situations, but it is also possible to learn how to play your character in a bad situation. Like there's one tricks out there, who hit very high ranks all the time. Like they're on almost every character out there.
Right.
Sim one tricks, Mercy one tricks, Reaper one tricks.
But
Pretty much.
don't you think though that it's like, I mean, Brig is pretty bad on that map, maybe.
Mhm.
And so you just get unlucky when you get the one trick on your team for the wrong map. Is that just
Um,
how it works?
I think that one tricking. Uh, I have a very open mind to it, because they have high win rates most of the time, right? And
Yeah, that's
it's
true.
it's not going to, like, as they're able to hang at the same rank, right? Because one tricking allows you to basically you learn the character to such a depth that you're able to compete even while up in a bad scenario,
Like
right?
when you're hard countered and you could
Right,
still kind of hang
exactly.
in there.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
The
Um,
junk v Farah, and you're still like able to frag the Farah.
yep. So
Do you play
yeah, that kind
mostly
of works.
support?
I used to play support, so I played support for up until like a year and a half ago ish. And then I swapped over to DPS. I started, yeah, I hit my peak on support 4468, and then I swapped to DPS and never got past that 2 SR and got 466.
Wow.
Um, so yeah, I played support for like, how many years has Overwatch been out? Like 4 years.
Yeah, it's been like
Um,
4 years.
so I played support for a year and a half to 2 years. Two, yeah, wait, yeah, to probably 2 years. Yeah, 2 years on support, a year and a half on DPS.
Yeah, see, I off tanked for a long time and I enjoyed it, but man, being on support is for me.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy it.
Yeah.
It looks like this is.
Statistically speaking, I usually get most of my team back alive, but who's counting?
Everyone performs their function, victory is assured.
And
Hello. A chance to focus.
All right. So I think it'd be good to try to just work on some ult tracking here. I'll just give you some
okay.
reminders for it. Think about what you're gonna need to use lamp for, right? Ult wise, right? Because you might need to hold on to it for specific things, right? That way we can have a plan of attack, right, with it. So right now we're just thinking comps. They have an Echo, they have Ryan Zarya, right? So already we're thinking, okay, they have a Zarya ult, right? They have a Shatter, and Echo is also another pretty powerful ultimate. So we have a whole lot that we need it for. Okay. Other thing I'm paying attention to is the fact that we have a Zenyatta, right? So that means we have a second defensive ult. So therefore, we need to just make sure we're not overlapping them, right? So communicate with him. Say, hey, I want you to transfer grab. I want me to lamp for immortality or vice versa,
Okay.
right?
Oh, that Sombra, that's not fun.
Yep, Sip Sombra now. Probably be best if like he hid for transfer or hid transfer the Sombra, right? And then you looked for immortality on grab.
I should have shifted.
Oh, yep.
I mean, yeah, I should have shifted.
Also just slightly out in the open there, right?
Yeah.
Alright. Thinking they're up on any ults, right? Most of us already have our ults, so they'll probably have theirs.
Mm,
Think about the fast charging ones, right? You can compare them to your team ults as well, right? If they won the fight, they're gonna have a little bit more ult charge.
yeah, VMP. Or Mall. What are we doing?
Just goes on Zarya. Zarya's one. Just kill Rush. Reinhardt. Ash is in the mega room on the low left. Good job.
Yep. Make sure we're looking to use immortality there, right? Could save Reinhardt or Zenyatta. Maybe Reinhardt would be better because Zenyatta got melted pretty fast.
Yum. Okay, they're gonna have EMP here, so.
Don't peek.
Coming. God, I can't heal everyone, they're so split.
Zarya's
Oh no.
fine. She's alone. She's so out of position.
I can't make this crease stand here.
Keep in mind, there's a whole ton of stuff that goes into whether or not you're winning and losing that isn't just kills,
Kill
right?
thing.
Yep.
Yep.
What health does each team have? Which team has better positioning? Which team has closer spawn? Which team
Cooldowns.
has cooldowns? Which team has more ultimates? Which team is using more ultimates? Right? There's a ton of stuff that goes into won or loss. So make sure we're paying attention to everything. Right? Kills is a big one, but we have to pay attention to everything because there we are pretty much winning even if we are only up one.
Oh, I'm just dead. God dang.
Yep. Again,
I mean, for
awareness.
Me, I don't know. I guess I shouldn't count on my teammates to tell me that they're walking up.
Yeah, that's an awareness thing of yours, right? If Reinhardt's getting like an inch from us without us noticing, that means that we have to make sure we're listening, make sure we're paying attention, right? It's not your team's job, and we shouldn't expect it to be our team's job because that means that we're never going to improve, right? If we're relying on diamond players, we're never going to get the masters.
She's like above us, Sombra. So monkey.
Yep, just a lot
It's
of.
just that our Zen was grouped, and our Zen was playing an LOS of our whole team, so I felt that if we got EMP'd, we're gonna die.
From in that fight right there, what?
In the previous fight.
The previous fight. Yep. In that case, that's where you remember to communicate and tell them, hey, go hide, right? You just say they have EMP, go hide right now, right? That way you don't have to be taking over his job if it's better for him. So communication comes into play there. A ton of deaths are happening just because we're not aware of our environment right now. So just make sure we're paying attention and we're listening.
Got my whole team flaming me right now because I didn't kill that Ash. Yeah, I don't know if you hear these guys.
Yep. And if you feel like it's upsetting you or anything like that, you always mute.
Nice shatter. Nice. Sombra on left, Sombra close. Watch shatter. Nice. I'll just be nice.
I saw Sombra left. We're still in left.
She's dead.
Here we can probably use it when they're trying to cross bridge, use our ultimate. Just make sure our team's on the same page as well.
They still have an EMP, like I don't understand. I can window here.
Backing out.
Are you gonna back up?
Ryan left with the
No.
Bob?
Yes.
Yep. Their team gave up a bit of space, and I think we ulted a little late there. I think like our team just kept backing up, and maybe looked to use our ults just a little bit earlier.
I
Right.
know. I felt like if I ulted on that first corner, that our team would have just given them that space.
Yep. Which
That our tanks were going to let them walk through it.
in which case that's the tank's fault, right? Not your fault. You don't make poor mistakes to make up for
Okay,
the
fair enough.
mistakes of your teammates, right? Because that just forms bad habits.
It's not bad. It's not really a good round, but it's not the worst.
Yep. About like pretty much all of our deaths came just because we weren't aware of our environment. We weren't paying attention to the enemy team. We weren't paying attention to what our team was up to. Right at the end there, we walked out of spawn where our whole team was still in spawn.
Yeah.
Even before we needed to contest, right? So on the awareness end, right, make sure we're really focusing in on awareness, right? Audio awareness. Turn up your volume if you need to. Other than that, make sure you're paying attention to footsteps, to ultimates, to abilities, right? Make sure that you're paying attention. You're looking around you. You're not just staring in one direction all the time, but you look left, you look right, you turn around, right? Pay attention to your health. Pay attention to your. I think you've done good with paying attention to your ultimate. But other than that, we've really struggled with just making sure we're paying attention to our environment, and then that's resulted in a ton of kills, right? We've gotten charged multiple times, flanked,
Yeah.
multiple times, right? We walked out of spawn on our own, and then like we were talking about with the other thing, awareness can be a little bit of a tricky thing to know how to improve on, but it's the same thing as everything else, right? You really focus in on your awareness of look around, health, right?
Yeah.
Make sure we're paying attention, audio, what's happening, and we're just paying attention to everything that's happening, and having better awareness is going to therefore
Oh, my
allow
volume was
you.
so low. I maybe turned it down for some reason at one point.
Yep. And then having a lower volume, or sorry, lower volume. Yep. Having a higher awareness is also just going to allow you to make better decisions, right? When you don't have good awareness, you can therefore not make good decisions.
Behind looking for pin here. Hey, behind you guys. How did you still let him get away with that? You're actually brain dead. I'm sorry. Like,
I didn't have bubble, so.
I did not hear you.
Oh, this guy's toxic.
Oh,
Okay.
do you press the button? Yeah. I don't even remember what button does that.
It's Alt Z.
Yeah.
I'm not used to pressing X.
Alright, let's wait for our shield to come back. Run, go in. I've got bubble for you. Gosh, they found me.
We 20 up the trains here.
We need that. We gotta go faster.
Alright, can you use trains, and after that I'll build Lucio. Lucio on a heals, I suppose.
Someone's looking out for me.
Never stop unlearn.
Getting killed right out of spawn door. Holy shit.
Unhackable minion.
Can we kill this run?
I will be with you.
Okay.
We have trains here.
Mana boost is charged.
We need more in-your-face damage. Torb, you like going Reaper?
We win this. Let's go.
They're down several right now.
Back one.
Crit.
Anti.
Get back.
What was your answer?
Reinhardt on point. Reinhardt on point. We got
Escort
we died.
Have we gone over
pushing.
Ana yet?
No, no, I
No?
just
Alright.
swapped. I just swapped.
No, I'm saying it before, like in the other session too.
She's stuck. I'm scared. Jump, sorry. Hard jump.
Clearly in a spot she shouldn't be if she's getting picked off. By
They're all in cast.
yeah, she sits.
Oh my gosh. I have a nano for fire or monkey.
Is that your low? Is that your low?
You're going to live.
Is there anyone up there, fire?
Our Winston's in their spawn primaling. Let's get 3 on cart here.
Zarya's gonna be below you guys. Right side. Right side. Zarya's right side. All by yourself.
Side.
Reaper above you guys.
Go. I keep you healed.
Sorry in advance.
Hey, the res
Oh.
Ryan. The res Ryan.
Make sure
What is
to
going on?
look for sleep on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Always make sure whenever they have a mercy, you're paying attention to dead bodies. Other than that,
Mm.
Ready to deploy.
maybe look for ult there.
Yeah, I wanted to ult.
Let's go.
Just like win this.
Yeah, nice nade. Oh, never mind. I went straight through them.
Okay.
You'll be fine.
So we have no mag. We have no mag. Hog anti. Oh no.
Hog recorded.
You're powered up. Get in there.
God.
All right, a little bit on the open. All right, look to use those kind of side pillars on the bridge as cover. Don't just stand there, and that's good because that's going to make it very easy for you to get shot at.
Yep.
All right, there's a few different things we're going to go over after this game's done.
Scratch. You'll be fine.
I'm already 20 off of the next stream.
Okay, good job. Do you guys want to push to tower or like
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. Follow our ball. Follow our ball.
Make sure you're on the same page as your team. Look, they're going in tower. You're lagging very far behind right now. All right, that means you're going to be able to LOS of everyone in a moment here. Right, they're all fighting the fight.
Ryan anti slept. Ryan anti slept. Ryan anti slept. 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, got a little bit
Diva.
too aggressive and inside of them there. Probably could sleep them. I don't think that the melee is worth enough damage to get super aggressive on a Reinhardt.
Shoot him and walk.
Yeah, so just you can shoot him just from a little bit further away. Melee's only going to do 25 damage, so.
Lost that. I have no fucking clue.
Literally the only person left on cart was Hog.
You're going to be okay.
Okay, make sure you're getting in the habit of pressing tab after every single fight, right? Get just to look at ultimates, what do we have to work on with? Because that's going to also dictate who we're nanoing.
Okay, we can nano barrage maybe. Well, we have to touch. The Reapers in tower.
We got a touch.
I'm coming main with you.
Ball left on you. I'll just kidding.
Ready? Another awareness death, right? Didn't see
I
where he
mean,
was.
where's this Rhine though? Cool.
I say, literally, how many more do I got?
By the skin of our teeth, bro. Their ball just.
Oh my god.
Holy shit.
Oh, they're lucky. God.
Can we get a McCree?
Take your medicine.
Yeah, Far is not really good on the flat pick up here. It's too close quarters regardless of which pocket.
Like, what's going on?
I think Arista
That
right
Ryan
here.
is 1 health. 1 health, Ryan. Right side. 1 health. Walk him up.
You're powered up. Get in there.
Ball. Focus ball.
I have trans again.
Oh my gosh. Dude, do not miss those.
Yep. Refocus up. Right. Looks like we're a little bit flustered. Give yourself a reminder, and when you're feeling like this, just refocus. You always have the ability to do that. Right, and then now you hit every single ability, right? So whenever you feel yourself getting flustered, just remind yourself, focus, focus, focus. Right, get back into the game, reset your mind, and then you'll start to perform a little bit better.
You're powered up. Get in there.
Thank you, Fire.
Get off cart. Do not get off cart.
You're covered.
Oh no.
Take your medicine.
We have another train here. Yeah, she's discorded. She's one. She's one.
Very nice nade.
Higher.
All right, I think on ability usage is going to be another very big thing. Make sure you're not rushing them, and that you're putting a lot of your thought and effort into them because they're a very important part of your kit. Same thing as Baptiste, right? So make sure you're really focusing on hitting good, especially nades, right? Especially hitting really good nades so they're not getting
Okay.
blocked by walls, hitting random people that you're not wanting to hit, hitting, just not going to the right place you want them. So really put focus in on that. Sleeps as well. Need a little bit more focus. I think in general you're using them both frequently enough, so good pacing on them. But we just want to make sure we're putting more effort in on them. Ultimate, just I think the one time he got slammed and it was a oof. But besides that, I think we also held on to it one extra time. So we just want to make sure we're using that frequently. Right. Other than that, I think we have pretty good targets with it. And then we're gonna talk about a few different things after this game
Okay.
on Ana.
Ryan,
With your positioning, just make sure you're putting yourself in a position to where you can see your team. There are a few times where our team kind of ran ahead of us and we lagged way too far behind them,
Yeah.
and then that meant that they would just be out of our line of sight. Make sure you're putting yourself in line of sight of as many teammates as you can get. Right, doesn't have to be everybody because sometimes somebody's gonna be on the other side of the map. Same with your Baptiste, right? You can't always see everybody, but as many people as you can. Just stick with that group of the majority.
Okay.
Literally all of us have just shooting.
I usually try to kind of like I kind of like try to anchor on the main tank. Like
Yep.
that's kind of usually who I figure.
Yep, which is
Like,
a
I
good
can be
idea.
near somebody.
Hmm.
Ryan's left side.
Oh, they lent early, boys. We've seen that play before.
Just focus front. I'll worry about the Ryan. Just focus front. Good pull.
Alright, good job watching your health. Press it another time, he's not paying attention.
What's he doing back there?
He's dead.
Okay, I didn't see him die. I was so confused.
Sims one.
Sorry, no bubble.
Run, run.
Alright, a lot of healing there when no one was slow. Make sure reloading during that time, shooting and stuff.
TP, 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 TP.
DP destroyed Sin that went through. Drunk high ground, I can't.
He's gonna have tire.
I have a lamp. Oh, nice. Oh, we have a draw on our hands. The win condition is now tire.
You wanna flex when they come through? First to lane. Saw you one.
Alright.
God.
So why don't you you can close your stream now. I'm going to stream some Overwatch, and then we're gonna go over some stuff, and then do the review and kind of wrap up here.
Okay.
All right. So on Ana, two things I think we're gonna talk about real quick. One thing is just a quick little tech thing. So are you aware of your nade tech to like way to land easy long distance nades?
No, I don't think so.
No? Alright, so how this works, not most people aren't. I didn't know this until after I stopped playing on. I peeked on her and then and then I found this out like on Twitter, right? So first off, you have to scope in, right? This doesn't work if you're unscoped. Second, you're going to take your ult charge, you're going to line that up with an enemy, and your nade will hit them from any height, any range, right? Except at close range, you don't need to use this, right? So it's not going to be very useful if they're like an inch from you, right? When they're a little bit more even with you, you're using the Q here. We toss that in, right? And hits them. So
Oh wow.
yep, that's a pretty effective way to land nades at a medium to longer range. Makes it a lot easier to hit. Now moving on. Your different types of scopes. Now, I saw struggling with this, especially at the beginning. Was just managing the different types of scopes. And you have essentially three. You have your unscoped, you have your scoped, and then you have your quick scope. In general, the first two are going to be used most often. Quick scoping is going to be used pretty rarely, and I saw us using quick scoping pretty often. And we're going to talk about why you want to use each and what are the benefits and negatives of them. First off, unscoping, right? You keep mobility, right? We can move around a lot. We keep visibility. We can see a bunch, right? So that's the big advantage of unscoped. Scoped, right? That means you lose mobility and you lose visibility, but this is also going to be very good at ranges, as that loss of visibility also zooms in, and it means that we can see better at a range, and it means that it lowers our sensitivity, so we can hit better at a range, and also makes our shot instant rather than projectile, right? So we're able to hit people better at a range. Quick scoping is a little bit of both of those. When you quick scope, you keep mobility and you keep visibility, right? When you quick scope, but you get the advantage of the instant shot, and then that means that you're able to hit people at a further distance much easier, right? But the downside of quick scoping, and why you don't use it all the time, is that you have a very low fire rate. You can't shoot very fast when you're quick scoping, right? So you don't want to be using this all the time, only in specific instances. So times when you want to use each. Let's just do quick scoping real quick. Quick scoping you use when you are under pressure, right? When you have somebody shooting at you. For example, when we were sitting on bridge and Ash is shooting at us, right? We can't, if we're scoping in, that makes it super insanely easy for the Ash to shoot at us, right? Because we're moving super slowly and we're aiming down sight, and you can just zoom in and shoot us, right? We're quick scoping, that just makes it a little bit harder, right? It means we can keep a mobility, make it hard for her to hit us, and this is mainly going to be when you're trying to heal people far away, right? Otherwise, you just left click, right? But if we're trying to hit someone far away while under pressure, we right click. Other time we can use it is when like we're walking back from spawn or something like that, and our whole team's like up there, right? And they need healing up there, but we can't sit here and scope in, because then we're just wasting a ton of time, and they're going to move around the corner, and then we're screwed. But we need to be able to heal them at a far range, so this is when we can quick scope as well, when we're trying to move a lot of distance, right? And then once we get close enough, we can unscope. Now, the difference between the unscoped and scoped as well here. Unscoped is going to happen within 10 meters on a squishy target, so anything that's not a tank, okay, is going to be 10 meters, right? Tanks have bigger hitboxes, so we can move up to 15 meters, so anything within this distance is on a tank, is unscoped. Anything past that on squishies or past this on tanks is going to be scoped. I see a scope in up here, right, on people. This is just going to be an unnecessary limiter on your visibility and mobility, and it's just going to make you easier to kill and give you a lot less awareness. So you just make sure at this range that we're unscoped shooting, right?
Okay.
So then that's pretty much it for the Ana stuff. So we'll move on to the wrap up. So we went over 3 different characters. So ability usage, let's go over that first. I think over most of the characters we struggle with abilities. We won't go over Brig because we just mainly did Bap and Ana, right? So
Bap
and Ana ability usage struggled a little bit on both of them. I think so. Lamp, Sleep, and Nade especially. I don't think Shift is too much of a big deal. Just make sure we're really concentrating and putting a lot of effort into those, and making sure we're putting brain power and thought into them. We're not just tossing them out. We're thinking about how we're using them ahead of time. We're not just going shoot, 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 heal, 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 and then all of a sudden we're like, oh yeah, nade, right? And then we just go instantly, and then we whiff it, right? We want to make sure
Yeah.
that we're putting deliberation and a lot of thought and effort into it. And shooting is what should be what should be autopiloted, right? Shooting is just we go shoot, 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 right? And that's just autopilot, and we're going, okay, how can I use nade? How can I use nade? Okay, nade, right? So we want to make sure we're putting in effort into those abilities. Now moving on, ultimate I think is one of the ones that's just kind of in the medium category that needs to be worked on. It's I think ults we usually have pretty good timing with them, but I think placement needs a little bit of work, especially with your window. Placement needs work. Make sure that they don't have anywhere to run away to. Make sure that you're placing in front of your team if that's an option, because that's going to be more powerful than just placing it in front of yourself a lot of the time. With your nano, just make sure we're not holding on to it and that we're thinking, what are the best targets. I think so. It was looking pretty good. We just ended up one time we were forced to hold on to it because we ended up dying, which is an awareness thing. But then the other time we just held on to it for an extra fight, right? So just make sure we're using it early and we're not holding on to it at all, because we're not going to get value that way. But overall, just kind of a medium thing that needs to be worked on. Moving on, good things, right? I think that you have very fantastic mechanics. I don't think that mechanics are really a thing that need to be worked on too much. I don't see you struggling to hit shots, so mechanics are not even really on the list and not something that needs to be worried too much about. Positioning, not as good as our mechanics, but I still think are very solid. I think Ana was the only one where I think was a little bit like, maybe on Ana it needs a little bit of work. But for Baptiste, I think especially, positioning looked very solid, and we usually knew where to stand. Just make sure you're sticking with the main bulk of your team, and you're not trying to concentrate on the person who's over in Narnia, because that's just you're gonna take forever to get there, and then they're gonna keep running away from you, and you're gonna be out of position. With Ana, I think that struggle a little bit. Just make sure you're putting yourself in a position, you're keeping up with your team, and you're putting yourself in a position to be able to see them and heal them and do things. Now, so that's on the lower end of things, right, to be working on. Now, awareness is the biggie. Awareness resulted in like 3/4 of our deaths last game.
Okay.
Awareness was, in general, is going to be a big one for making sure we're just using our ults at the right times in the correct situations. When we have poor awareness, we are incapable of making good decisions. So we want to make sure we're really concentrating on being aware of what's happening around us, right? Pay attention to what the players, right? So what's our team up to? Where are they positioned? Make sure we're following them around. Pay attention to the enemy team. That resulted in a lot of deaths because we just weren't paying attention to them, right? So make sure that we're looking around for them. We're not always kind of walking in one direction, and we're just doing a slow pan with our camera, right? We want to make sure we're looking left and we're looking right. We're doing a 360 once in a while, right? We're checking around us, right? Do kind of sweeps when you're moving into a different area. We want to do kind of corner checks, right? So we're kind of moving through this room. We're doing a quick left, right, right? We do a left, right, right? We pay attention to things that are happening around us, right? On top of that, pay attention to your health bar, right? We did this a little bit better in the last game, but we had a couple times where we just weren't paying attention to our health, and we ended up going a long time without heals. Besides that, I think you do a good job paying attention to the rest of your HUD besides your health bar, so that's good. But also just make sure keeping an eye on kill feed. I think that was pretty decent as well. Other one is just make sure you press tab much more. It's going to give you a ton of information to work with, right? It's a good habit to get into pressing tab after every single fight, right? That's going to allow you to see, did they swap any characters? Did we swap any characters? Team comp dictates play style, right? How we play is going to change based on the characters we swap. So that's important information. What ultimates do we have? And then this will also allow us to get into the habit of ult tracking, right? When we can see the comp that they're working with, that's going to allow us to visualize and ult track just a little bit better. So get to work on on that, because that verbal carrying is a very powerful tool to learn how to do. Like that alone can carry you pretty far. And that is awareness. Now, I think that summarizes a lot of it. With your lamp, just make sure as well that you're being aware and you're paying attention to what do we need to use it for, and we're thinking ahead of time and planning ahead of time for it. Now, in general, main points, I'd probably say awareness is the number one thing that we need to work on. Number two is going to be ability usage. That one's a pretty close number two. those are the two big ones. Ultimate usage is number 3 to work on, and then positioning's just just a tad bit. Just need to get a little bit consistent with it, but not that's definitely not one of the big things, and the mechanics not really even a problem.
Okay.
All right. Now, do you have any questions on anything we've gone over?
As far as working on awareness, what should I do to kind of like what should I be looking for? I know you said kind of sweeping around, looking around. Alt tracking is a big one. Is there anything else I should be I should be doing?
Pay attention to audio cues, right? Listen for
Okay.
footsteps. There are a lot of times that we ended up dying just because someone snuck up on behind us, right? Or
Mhm.
we I think twice we got charged when we would have had a decent bit of reaction time to work with had we heard the charge, had we been looking for it, right? And then we got flanked by Reinhardt one time, we got flanked by Ash another time. We walked out of spawn when our whole team wasn't there with us, right? So just pay attention to
Right.
what your team's up to.
Yeah.
So there's just awareness is a very big category. You just want to make
Yeah.
sure that you're using your eyes, you're looking around, and you're trying to intake information, right? A lot of different areas. I think just be on your HUD, you're good. Not much to worry about with your HUD besides health bar. Make sure you're paying attention to what's happening in the fight. I probably said that's the big main one is just like what's happening in game around you, right?
Mm.
With the players especially, like where's our team at, where's the enemy team at, then to a lesser extent as well, just paying attention to kill feed, and then ultimates is another big one that just needs to as well be more aware of is the macro sense of the game.
Okay.
Alrighty, that
Okay.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Alright, any other questions?
I don't think so.
Alright, then I'm going to end the recording here.